This is the Balancing Act by Security Compass, your guide to going fast while staying safe in today's digital world. Today we are joined by Altaz Villani from Security Compass and Gopi Reddy, who is an experienced enterprise architect. We will talk about digital transformation and how DevOps enables the business imperative. Security is often not considered a key part of this transformation because of the perception that it is a low-level technical activity. With the shift to digital product enablement in a high-velocity environment, this is now changing as security becomes everyone's responsibility.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast today. Our guest with us is Gopi Reddy, is an enterprise architect and has a lot of experience dealing with digital transformation. Welcome, Gopi, to the podcast today.
Thank you. Thanks, Altaz.
So, Gopi, we hear a lot about digital transformation and this idea of how it's disruptive to organizations. I think for some of our listeners, it might be helpful to set a bit of context. Can you describe what digital transformation is?
Yeah, sure. No, for sure, there's no single common definition. My perspective, it's really an opportunity to transform your business model. That could mean doing the things that you're currently doing better by leveraging the newer technologies, or doing things that you could not do before by leveraging technology. So it's really about business model transformation enabled by technology.
That's interesting. So when we look at digital transformation, that implies that we're going to go through a series of incremental transformations, continually helping us to improve how we are going to conduct our business. Can you talk a little bit about how DevOps fits into digital transformation?
One of the salient features of a digital transformation is to really delivering bite-sized chunks in a really in an iterative manner at a fast pace. To enable DevOps, it provides you that capability so that the organization doesn't have to do 5 months of planning, 3 months of planning, 10 months of execution. Rather, it's really bite-sized chunks where iterative, sprint-based, all self-serve, faster paced to market.
Mm-hmm. And so now we have these DevOps teams that are enabling the business imperative around going digital. And one of the challenges we've seen as we've explored the whole DevOps space is oftentimes when we talk about automated pipelines and we talk about integrations, usually security is something that's either left behind or isn't quite fitting in properly with DevOps. Can you talk a little bit now about DevOps and security insofar as it relates to digital transformation?
Security has always been a specific team's responsibility, right? So that paradigm has changed. What it really means is security essentially is everybody's responsibility. So it is imperative for security groups to really help everyone within the organization pick up those skills, understand what are the security threats out there, pick up skills to mitigate it, so that in the normal course of work, security is just as any other concern as a performance or any of those concerns. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. So what that means now is security becomes a normal part of how we develop software. And I can certainly see the trend moving in that direction within the industry. I think some of the challenges that I still see are around governance. And I know when we talk about enterprise architecture, governance is a big part of this. And you'd mentioned that security is now everybody's responsibility. And you also talked about how it could be spearheaded by the security teams. Can you talk a little bit about security and the governance aspect of this? Because I think as we look at the business imperative, there's also a cybersecurity and privacy angle that comes in. And as we conduct digital transformation, we can't have these things fall by the wayside. So how do we govern and put the guardrails to ensure that we still continue to move forward while adding value to the business from a digital transformation standpoint, and at the same time, make sure that we're not going off the rails when it comes to security and privacy?
Yeah, governance definitely has control objectives associated with it. The way governance is being rolled out in modern enterprises today, it takes the player coach model. What I really mean by that is For governance committees, it's imperative for them to help people understand the importance of security-related tactics, techniques to help mitigate risk. While learning is one part, the other part really is governance by exception, right? You don't want to get into, so when you're doing these micro sprints, micro functional sprints, leveraging DevOps capability, it's a really fast-paced manner. If you take the traditional approach of governance being a gatekeeper, bureaucratic police force, you're going to stall the entire organization. Rather than that, governance becomes more of a guiding coach type of aspect. In addition to that, you take an approach of a governance by exception. You're continuously looking at stuff, but you're not stopping people. And when there are exceptions, you go and help people rectify those things.
That's really interesting. And I think we've got time probably for just one more quick question. When we look at DevOps and how DevOps can enable digital enablement, digital transformation, it's important to understand what the needs of the business are, and then we back our metrics into that and we align with what the business needs are. Can you just real quickly, maybe top 3 things that you find from a metric standpoint that are really important from a digital transformation standpoint? If we put a business angle on it, how does the business measure this? What are the KPIs typically used?
It all boils down to your business outcomes, right? So if you look at metrics, you got your leading metrics, you got your lagging metrics. So leading metrics are things that you can measure today, as in how many sprints you're doing, how many releases you've had. But from a business perspective, all of that, it does matter, but not really, right? So the measurement has to boil down to business outcomes in terms of, was it a revenue growth? Did you help the organization launch new products? Did you help the organization reach out to new geographies? Did you reduce the time of onboarding of your customers? So from a metric standpoint, digital transformation is all about business outcomes. So you got to ground it on business outcomes and think through that lens.
Wonderful. That makes sense. And so backing the metrics that we measure from a DevOps standpoint, albeit from a security lens, has to align with, for example, what's important to that customer, and then we measure accordingly. And that's where some of the guardrails can be put in place to ensure that we are aligned with what the business objectives are. Well, Gopi, I wanted to thank you very much for your time today. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Altaz.
Can't get enough of the balancing act? Make sure to check out our website at www.securitycompass.com and be sure to subscribe to our channel wherever you listen to podcasts for more episodes.